Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust them, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. The Thursday night throwdown has begun. There's a lot of stuff to unpack. It's been a crazy day today. Let's start off on the ice in the Frozen Four as the Denver Pioneers are going back to the national championship game. They knock off Boston University 2-1 in overtime. Denver won the championship just 2 years ago. Quinnipiac, defending champions. Denver won in 2022. So the Denver, the Pioneers are back in the championship game. Meanwhile, Boston College and the Michigan Wolverines hail to the victor. The Michigan Wolverines trail the Boston College Eagles 1-0 right now after 20 minutes of play. Lower scoring than expected, although I guess we should have expected this considering there's a trip to the national championship on the line. Obviously, things are going to tighten up, but Boston College score nearly 6 goals a game, and Michigan score 5 goals a game. So even though it's such a big game, anybody that watches NCAA hockey knows how quick it's played, the pace and stuff, and there's not a ton of contact in the NCAA. They'll hit each other, but it's not as clogged up as the Canadian junior leagues. It's very quick hockey, and it's like Russian roulette, man, when you bet an under, because there's so many scoring chances. These kids are flying around, man. They can all really skate. So it's 1-0. Total is 5.5 right now. I think it will open up a little bit. We're on the over, and I hate betting overs. We're on the over, and we're on the Michigan Wolverines. I got Michigan to win the game at plus 160. I got Michigan plus 1.5, and I got Michigan plus 2.5 in a parlay on the back end of a parlay. We've been drilling this tournament. We came into tonight 14-2-1. Shout out to everyone joining us on Sirius XM channel 159. This is SportsRage on the SportsGrid radio networks. We were 14-2-1 in the NCAA hockey tournament coming into tonight. We got the split so far. So 15-3-1 right now with Michigan and the over pending. The United States, it's the Women's World Hockey Championships going on right now. It's pretty crazy to say that we might jump in on an over 11.5 right now. USA. The U.S. are winning 9-0 right now over Japan. It's 9-0 after 2 periods of play. And the total is 11.5, and the USA are laying 11.5. And I got to be honest, I don't think the U.S. are going to let up. I've actually been watching a bit of this hockey game, and every time I look up, the USA are scoring. Like Japan are seriously overwhelmed right now. So I wouldn't be surprised. It's basically, I don't know, like when do the U.S. want to take the pedal off the metal? Generally, 10-0 is kind of like, yeah, listen, it's kind of enough now, right? But they might go for the jugular. Right, they might go for the jugular and win like 13-0 or something like that. Drew Martin's going to step up and in. We're going to break it down baseball style. Right now we got a game in the bottom of the 9th inning. No late night baseball. We'll set the stage for the weekend. We'll do a market watch with Drew. A lot of stuff to get to. It's 3-3 right now between the Orioles and the Boston Red Sox. Bottom of the 9th inning. The game is basically a pick'em right now. Minus 115. On both sides. As far as the National Hockey League is concerned, George Kurtz and Cam Stewart are at the New York Islander Montreal Canadian game right now. And in fact, we'll get the picture up a little bit later on. But Cam's rocking a New York Islander jersey. Cam's always been a closet Islander fan. He's always liked the Islanders. So he's at the game right now, and I'm assuming he's got money on the Islanders since he's wearing the Islander jersey. But he's been betting on the Canadians a lot. They're in overtime. Kurtz might join us. Cam's all lit up, so Cam's not going to be joining us. Cam's like going to be in Long Island. He's got to go back to Manhattan. That's not going to be easy. He's got to hop on a train. But George Kurtz lives in the area, so Kurtz might come on in the 11:40 Eastern slot. We'll see. He might not be back in time, but George doesn't drink. George is the sober designated driver, so George could step up and in a little bit later on. We'll get an update. But it's 2-2 in that hockey game. 2-0 for the Jets over the Dallas Stars right now. Sharks and Kraken are about to get started. It's like, hard to get excited about that. The NBA card sucks tonight as well. The only game I have money on right now is this hockey game. I got money on the Michigan game and the Boston College, the Frozen Four. I'm locked and loaded as far as this game is concerned. So speaking of betting, Ohtani's interpreter is formally charged for real. And there is a 37-page indictment and police report, file per se, document, however you want to call it. 37 pages. I've tweeted the links out. And if you walk into a bar, you ask anybody right now, you look on Twitter, everybody's got an opinion. Ohtani, so it's a big cover-up. And it's like, you could just sort of create your own alternative facts, or you could actually read the damn document. And you could read the wiretap and the statements, and you can actually see exactly what happened. So it's funny, though. This is why the world is what it is right now. You could tell someone that it gets dark at night, and they'll argue with you. No, it doesn't. The sky's not black. That's a lie. That's the media. They tell you it's black, but it really isn't. Right? Like, we live in an era right now that you could show somebody something, and it doesn't matter still. It still doesn't matter. But I find it comical. That, and even some in the media still speculate, yeah, but what? So you believe that an FBI agent, and if you read the police report, you read the indictment, the agent has to give his credentials. The guy's been an FBI agent in fraud and in money and in theft and in cyber stuff since 2001. So this guy is lying. He's putting his entire career on the line. He's lying. They've redacted Ohtani's name through everything. Ohtani's interpreter, that's only known him for about 6 years since he's been in America, is willing to get charged with $16 million in wire fraud and go to federal prison to cover up Ohtani doing something that wouldn't even be illegal. Yeah, okay. Seriously, people, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. That's the problem, though. This is why democracy doesn't work, because you're all idiots. You're too stupid, right? You're too stupid. You just, 2 + 2 = 4 still. I know you want to believe, and people will tell you, no, it isn't. No, it doesn't. 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. All right? People in the mob don't do this much jail time to cover up. Well, you think Ohtani's some sort of Yakuza gangster, and he's got everyone under his spell, including the United States government and every bank? Just read the damn document or shut the hell up. O.J. Simpson passes away, 76 years old. Cancer gets him when it's all said and done. And it's hard to believe that this story is now nearly concluded in one of the wildest stories in American history. A history-changing event, person, and everything else in between. A lot of stuff to break down. Let's roll. This is SportsRage.
Victor Hovland right now can probably hit it right where he's looking on the range. But the problem is when you get out to a golf course, especially like Augusta National, it's a big, big picture. You can see every shot in the world, but the targets are really, really small.
I feel like whoever we pick is going to win. I feel like we have the power to choose the winner of this tournament.
I know. I'm surprised more guys haven't reached out.
And they might, and they probably will.
Only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Jason Tatum has games where he has stinkers. He shoots a 4 for 16. Jaylen Brown in the playoffs gets exposed because he can't go left. Porzingis gets old. Sometimes Jrue Holiday's not consistent. Al Horford father time to catch up. That being said, I still think they're going to the NBA Finals and winning it. And I'm a Knicks fan. I hate the Celtics with all of my might.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis owns it. They beat them 5 straight times. And Memphis is awful. So what does that say about the Bucks? They are the most overrated team in the NBA, hands down.
Michigan and Boston College, there's going to be goals scored in this game. But, with that being stated, the total's up to 7.5 right now. I got to go under 7.5 here, Scott.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
SportsRage late
This sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. What a wild day today with the passing of O.J. Simpson and the Shohei Ohtani story and his interpreter. Now that a lot of the facts are out right now, especially pertaining to the betting community, because so many people, right now, so many people bet on sports. People are talking about betting on sports so much, and it's funny when you see sports bettors talk, you would really think that, like, they never lose, they've never stolen anything, they've never lied, right? It's like or they think that, like, that this is like a new phenomenon, that, that people are betting, that their athletes are betting, and they can't believe his bets ranging from the average $12,000 to $160,000, and we'll bring Drew Martin in. And the one that people really liked was that he bet a $10 bet once, right? So somebody that's betting $150K actually bet $10. And you, as a lifelong bettor, I'm sure you put a $10 play in every now and then. Hell, I bet $10 on something this morning on the Masters. It was like 5 a.m. My account had a weird, odd, different number. I was like, yeah, you know what? I'll just put this on this at 40 to 1. I put $10 on it. So this guy, I bet, Drew, his $10 bet was probably him and a really bad day. He probably lost a couple of $100K. And he was like, all right, I'll put $10 on some stupid horse race or something, or a golfer at 500 to 1 or something like that. But I don't know if you've had a chance to read the 37-page FBI report yet. But it is a fascinating read because there's wiretaps and quotes, and it explains exactly how he frauded Ohtani as much as he did. It was fascinating to read.
Yeah, I can't wait to get after it, Gabe. That's one of those, Cliff Notes version. I doubt I'll get after all 37 pages, but it's a fascinating story overall, Gabe. And I'll tell you, you talk about, just the range of bets. It's one of those things as a sports bettor. I mean, sometimes when your account balance gets real low, $8 left, you just got to go all 8, on whatever bet. So it's one of those, when you get low in the account, whether it's, below 100 or even below 10, you're either going to 0 or you're winning the bet. That's how I feel, Gabe. So I don't really knock on him for that. I think it's kind of, a normal better overall with Ohtani.
I think what happened with the interpreter is, I tweeted this out, that it happens, and I've seen it firsthand. I've lived it. I've been around it. So this guy's got it all, Drew. So it turns out he was making $400,000 a year, okay? That's what he was making as Ohtani's interpreter. So you're making $400K a year. You're living the life of a big leaguer, except you're not under pressure to play. You're sitting in the dugout every day. You're traveling with the team. He was literally in the dugout with Ohtani because if they wanted to talk to him and they wanted to say something, it had to go through him. So he's traveling with the team. He's living a big league life. He's making $400K a year. You figure he has it all, but that's what was dangerous about it. You're sitting around in a clubhouse, Drew, so he's not from Japan either, right? The interpreter. He's from LA. So it's not like he was new to this stuff. The guy was a hustler his entire life. And, so he ends up in this spot. So you figure, okay, this is awesome. I lied my way into this. I don't really have any language degree from Riverside. I never even went there, right? Like he lied his way into this, right? So like his whole life is a lie. It's amazing. So he lies his way into this. He's in Major League Baseball clubhouses, hanging out with Mike Trout and going golfing with these guys and stuff. But that's the danger because, I'm sure you've been around some guys before. You played with guys that ended up playing after you. You were a great quarterback, but I was in Major League Baseball clubhouses. And to put in perspective, their NCAA tournament bracket, bro, they asked me, do you want to enter our bracket? I said, what's the entry? They said $5,000 each. Right? That's nothing to them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's like, they're bored. They don't even have a chance to spend their money. They're on the road all the time. So they're sitting in a clubhouse, and this is what happens. You don't think they're betting on NFL games on Sunday afternoons? And of course they are, right? So the American guys are, the Dominican guys aren't, but the American guys are. I know for a fact. So these guys, they're rich, Drew. So it's like, what? They're not going to bet $100 a game. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The guy's making $22 million a year, $30 million. He's not going to bet like 100. So it's like, all right, put $50K a game in for me or whatnot. And, the guy, usually it's the bullpen catcher that'll handle these things. I'm just saying, if anyone's been around a clubhouse, that's usually the guy. So the bullpen catcher is sort of the guy that'll help everybody out. He can get whatever you need, if you know what I'm saying. So you're Ohtani's guy. Ohtani doesn't bet. Ohtani doesn't speak English. He sleeps all day. You're actually hanging around with all these other dudes all the time. They're betting big money. You're betting, your little $1,000, your $500 bets. You feel like a loser. Next thing you know, you're like, man, I'm going to start betting $50K a game, $100K a game and stuff. Next thing you know, you owe the bookie $4 million. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not rocket science, guys. There's no vast conspiracy here. There it is. Gambling's dangerous, and it's even more dangerous if you think you have access to money and you think you can hustle money to get the money, Drew. Let's be real. Come on.
Yeah, hustling's part of it, and to tell you the truth, it's human nature. If you go to a casino and you go with a buddy and you're planning on, betting $20 a hand on red or black, and your buddy's laying down $250, well, guess what? You probably up your ante a little bit. You know what I mean? I know at least I do, even though you're going out a little bit more than you can afford. So you can get it. It comes back to the human nature thing. And I thought you brought up a good point. He probably knew some of these players just because of the language barrier alone better than Ohtani did. He probably hung out with them more. And then therefore he gets into the mix a little bit. And I can remember, I forget the manager for the White Sox, probably about a decade ago. He's kind of a wild man, a Hispanic guy.
Ozzie Guillen?
Yeah, exactly. He was complaining about the American-born players betting on college football on Saturday and not paying attention to the game. I don't know if you remember that. I remember him saying
that he's Venezuelan, so he doesn't care. He's like these American guys on the weekends. They don't care about baseball.
Yeah.
People used to ask me all the time, Morency, why do you get along with these like no one in the media would get invited to the strip clubs after the game, or to go watch football with them. I would. People are like, man, I don't know why they love this guy so much. Why do you think they like me so much, Drew? Point blank.
Because you're a man's man.
We talk sports and betting, bro. You know what I mean? They were calling me over. You like what? You like the Bears this week? I like the Bears, Morency. What do you think about the Bears? Yeah, who else do you like? What do you like in college? Yeah? They're writing it down or talking. They're like, what do you think of the Gators this week? I played for the Gators. You know that. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like The American guys, baseball guys, are the biggest sports fans out of all athletes, Drew.
Mm-hmm.
Like NBA guys aren't sitting around like as much. I'm not saying none of them are. LeBron watches football, I know, but like they're out doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? Hockey players live in a little bubble. All they care about is playing hockey, their girls, and playing golf. Like they live in their bubble. Baseball guys are like you and me, Drew. They really are the most sort of, yeah, who do you like on Monday? Who do you like? UConn? You like the points? You know what I mean? That's what they do.
Yeah.
And plus, it's kind of boring on the road for them, guys. It's not the quickest pace. You're in a clubhouse all day, sitting around, watching ESPN, watching games all day. Like, it's bread to bet. Not to mention the money they bet amongst themselves on this stuff, Drew. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
They're like, oh, yeah, you're a Packer fan? I'll bet you $50K, bro. They don't win. Like, you know what I mean? They all have money, and they're fun. It's fun for them.
And that's
so
big
I
part
think the
of
interpreter got caught up in the lifestyle, and he didn't have the funds to keep up.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And another thing with baseball, it's different than football. You know, football, you go the day before, you fly in, you stay at a hotel, you got the curfew, and then you got a big game. You got to be ready for it. Baseball, it's a 3-game series. You got a lot of downtime. You can kind of do what you want a little bit more in the baseball locker room rather than the NFL locker room.
More with Drew on the other side. Let's bet.
Victor Hovland right now can probably hit it right where he's looking on the range. But the problem is when you get out to a golf course, especially like Augusta National, it's a big, big picture. You can see every shot in the world, but the targets are really, really small.
I feel like whoever we pick is going to win. Like, I feel like we have the power to choose the winner of this tournament.
I know. I'm surprised more guys haven't reached out.
And they might, and they probably will.
Only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Jason Tatum has games where he has stinkers. He shoots a 4 for 16. Jaylen Brown in the playoffs gets exposed because he can't go left. Porzingis gets old. Sometimes Drew Holiday's not consistent. Al Horford father time to catch up. That being said, I still think they're going to the NBA Finals and winning it. And I'm a Knicks fan. I hate the Celtics with all of my might.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis owns it. They beat them 5 straight times. And Memphis is awful. So what does that say about the Bucks? They are the most overrated team in the NBA, hands down.
Michigan and Boston College, there's going to be goals scored in this game. But, with that being stated, the total's up to 7.5 right now. I got to go under 7.5 here, Scott.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
SportsRage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, no matter what I've tweeted out about Ohtani, and I've tweeted out actual quotes and the cops and this and that, people are like, oh, he was betting. Oh, he was definitely doing something. And I just got to give up, and it scares me that you people vote and drive cars. But I'm going to give credit to our boy John in Chicago, who I actually think Drew might have met. He was actually I think he was at that in Costa Rica, one of the conferences we were at, Drew. The brother from Chicago. Yeah, John.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was the one he was there. Yeah. So he's got the best tweet about this. He goes, he might want to make an effort to start learning English after this, which I think that is the best. Because just quickly about this, and we'll move on from it, but like, people are wondering, how the hell did he get access to this and that? Dude, it turns out he went to the bank with Ohtani when Ohtani opened up his account. So Ohtani opened up an account in Arizona during spring training, like whatever, when he signed with the Angels. This guy went with him to open up the account. And this guy was a hustler. And this guy got, he had everything, and he started switching the settings, limits, and stuff like that behind Ohtani's back. But this is what's crazy, too, because you figure Ohtani's not going to, just give let this guy have access to everything in his life. And he didn't, which is crazy. He didn't. He wasn't supposed to. All right? Ohtani's agents actually were the ones that were supposed to be paying attention and watching, overseeing everything. But this is what's so crazy about this. And it's so Keystone Cop-ish that the agency that Ohtani's with, CAA, whatever one it is there, the agency that he's with in L.A., don't speak Japanese, all right? So no one in the room spoke Japanese. Ohtani literally doesn't speak English. I'm sure he understands more now, but I think this is years ago. He did not speak English at all, Ohtani. So get this, Drew. They trusted the interpreter. The interpreter. So Ohtani's sitting there nodding. The agents are like, tell him this. And Ohtani's nodding. They didn't know he was lying the whole time. No one knew. This is so Keystone Cop-ish. It was like, you didn't bring in someone else who spoke Japanese once to say, by the way, he's not really telling Ohtani what you just said. It's insane. If you read, the agency's embarrassed. They actually told the cops, where this is pathetic. They said, you're not going to believe this, but he was the interpreter. And not only that, we hired him as our interpreter after. Because he was Ohtani's buddy.
Yeah, that's where the issue comes in. It's almost there could be a conflict of interest. Interpreters have so much power. It almost scares me, in political arenas. Are these guys really translating?
You don't know what they're really saying.
Yeah. And even if it's the right word, is it the wrong context? Do you really know the culture of the other person you're talking to? All of this is big stuff. And back to the agency for Ohtani, Gabe, just business-wise, if you got, a $500 million contract on the line here, wouldn't you just hire your own in-house Japanese, translator? How much could they possibly cost for that big of a contract? That just would make sense to me, man.
Well, he did, but he hired the wrong one.
Oh, I see what you're saying. He hired his.
Well, it wasn't his. He didn't know the guy. He met the guy when he signed with the Angels. He didn't know him as before. Yeah. That's the other thing. No, the interpreter's not from Japan. He's from L.A. That's another people have a hard time understanding. It's not Ohtani's lifelong buddy. They met when he went to the Angels, and they became buddies. Ooh. They became friends. But I don't think they were as close as... Yeah, exactly. I don't think they were as close.
You can't trust new friends as much as old friends. Yeah.
So this is why I think John is right. Learn English, OA, because we got to avoid this in the future. You could have saved a lot of. Hey, by the way, and what was really crazy was the interpreter told the agency, in front of Ohtani, but Ohtani didn't know. He said, "Oh yeah, by the way, Ohtani Shohei won't come next time." He started going to meetings and holding his own meetings without telling Ohtani.
Wow.
He might go to jail. Oh, no, he's going to jail.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a point blank. I mean, dude, he's charged with wire fraud, committing like bank fraud. Like, dude, another time he pretended he was Ohtani at the bank a couple of times.
Oh man. Yeah.
So he walked into a bank. He walked into a bank and said he was Shohei Ohtani. He's Japanese. He has the bank card. He's got the account numbers. They don't know.
Wow.
The Japanese dude walked in and took out some money. Like, you know what I mean? He didn't steal it. He had the account. Like, you know what I mean? It's pretty crazy, man. Like, hey, this guy, like, he just turned out he lost all his money in crypto. Like, that's what he told the bookie. Because he was running out of money. He goes, I had money, but I lost it all in crypto, and now I'm losing all this betting on sports, trying to get the crypto money back. Like, the guy was just a degenerate, Drew. Like, he was just like a hustler that got in too deep. It's going to make a great movie one day.
It really would. I wonder if somebody, like, I guess it wouldn't be Disney, but maybe somebody else like buy the rights to this story. I'd definitely watch this movie for sure, man. But yeah, about this interpreter, it just sounds like he got in too deep. He couldn't get out of it, and he was probably a shyster from the beginning. Like, if he's really from LA, you know, big city kind of guy, get around some money, and hey, he seized the opportunity while it lasted. Let's say it's just one of those things, you know. If you got a job, like you were explaining in the first segment, Gabe, you're making $400,000 a year. You're not even have to sweat out as a player. Like, why not just ride that into the sunset, man? Just do your job straight and bet $50 a game. You know what I mean? That would have been probably a smarter decision at this point.
We've all made mistakes. we've all made mistakes. His was just a large one, and he's got a big problem. And his problem is too, he can't rat anybody out. Like, there's not like he can say, okay, listen, I'm going to talk, and can you reduce my sentence? They already know everything. Like, what are you going to tell us? We've had you wiretapped. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we already know the bookie story. And just to wrap it up, I know it's all confusing and stuff, but there was a story like 2 years ago about a guy named Wayne Hicks. So is it Knicks? Wayne Knicks. So basically, he's a minor league baseball player in Las Vegas that was taking bets from sports celebrities and athletes and stuff. Yasiel Puig was on it. Like, Yasiel Puig was betting with the same guy that Ohtani's interpreter was. So were other baseball players. And by the way, LeBron James's manager was on the list. So I don't know why, like, this Ohtani thing stuck with everyone so much when you say, you know what? Everyone in LA that plays sports bet with this guy. Like, basically, that's the gist of it. But nevertheless, the last LA story, there's always something in LA. O.J. Simpson passes away, 76 years old. And we're just going to go over what he accomplished on a football field. This isn't an editorial about him as a person. But just from a football perspective, I don't think people remember or realize, just like, this is what he did. NFL most valuable player in 1973. Rushed for over 2,000 yards. First player to rush for 2,000 yards. NFL offensive player of the year. 5-time first-team All-Pro. 5-time Pro Bowler. AFL All-Star. Burt Bell Award. AP Athlete of the Year. AFC Offensive Player of the Year 3 times. NFL rushing leader 4 times. 2-time NFL rushing. 2-time NFL touchdown. Rushing touchdown leader, NFL scoring leader, all 70s decade team, all 75 anniversary team, all 100th all-time NFL team, Buffalo Bill wide receiver, Buffalo Bill Wall of Fame, USC Trojan number 32 retired, national champion USC Trojans, Heisman Trophy winner, Maxwell Award winner, Walter Camp Award winner, 2-time college football player of the year, 2-time unanimous All-American. I mean, like, really, like, if you just said all that, you'd be like, that's the greatest football player that ever played. If you took away the name, you'd be like, I've never heard a resume like that before.
I was just going to say, I mean, in terms of resumes, if you just did kind of like the blind test and you just read what the resume was, that might be the best I've ever heard, Gabe. I mean, and plus the fact he was a running back, like, back in the day when, like, running backs, not that they don't matter now, but it was like the prime position. Like, if you led the
they
NFL,
got body slammed when they were tackled too, like, boom.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, man. I mean, Heisman Trophy winner. Just think of that list, man. It is pretty crazy to think what he accomplished on the field. And I know, like, a lot of the watchers right now, listeners out there, serious and everything, they might not be old enough to really realize it because, Gabe, like I remember where I was as a kid in school when that white Ford Bronco was riding down the road. I remember right where I was. It was one of those moments in life you don't forget.
It really is.
Yeah.
I know.
And I don't
There's
really
not a lot of
remember
those either. Not a lot of those. I remember when Reagan got shot. I remember 9/11. I remember the space shuttle blowing up. You know what I mean? It was sort of like, oh, yeah, I was that, like where you were. You know what's crazy? OJ was the night the Knicks were playing the Houston Rockets in the finals.
Yeah. And they cut out of it, right? They
split screen it. It was like the weirdest thing ever. Like on half the screen was the NBA Finals, and the other half, OJ was in a white Bronco. It was like mind blowing. Like it was like, is this like what's happening? Like tonight, John Starks missed like a million shots.
Yeah, I thought he was on his way to Mexico in that white Ford Bronco, but he never made it, I guess.
He had money and a wig and everything too. I don't know if the wig would have helped OJ. He had a wig. It's like, oh yeah, that's you. They'll never know it's you. Just wild stuff. Like I said, changed everything. Like cable TV, court TV, all that stuff was created because of that.
Victor Hoffman right now can probably hit it right where he's looking on the range. But the problem is when you get out to a golf course, especially like Augusta National, it's a big, big picture. You can see every shot in the world, but the targets are really, really small.
I feel like whoever we pick is going to win. Like I feel like we have the power to choose the winner of this tournament.
I know. I'm surprised more guys haven't reached out.
And they might, and they probably will.
Only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Jason Tatum has games where he has stinkers. He shoots a 4 for 16. Jaylen Brown in the playoffs gets exposed because he can't go left. Porzingis gets old. Sometimes Drew Holiday's not consistent. Al Horford father time to catch up. That being said, I still think they're going to the NBA Finals and winning it. And I'm a Knicks fan. I hate the Celtics with all of my might.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis owns it. They beat them 5 straight times. And Memphis is awful. So what does that say about the Bucks? They're the most overrated team in the NBA, hands down.
Michigan and Boston College, there's going to be goals scored in this game. But, with that being stated, the total's up to 7.5 right now. I got to go under 7.5 here, Scott.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
SportsRage late
sort
night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
You know, Drew Martin, King of us. I'm Gabriel Morency. Thinking about L.A. It's a big city, and I've often done this in cities I've lived in. Look out! I remember like looking. I'd be at the Meadowlands and stuff, in the parking lot there, and the racetrack, and you could see New York City and stuff. And I remember I told someone once, we were standing in a parking lot. I said, "You know how many bad decisions that have cost people their lives has been made in this parking lot?" You know what I mean? Like people, you know, like, this is New York. Like somebody, like, you know what I mean? Somebody said, "Yeah, you know what? I'm going to borrow $20K from that John Gotti loan shark operation." Didn't end well. Like, you know what I mean? Like people, like those decisions that are made, right? You know, man, when I lived in Hollywood, guys, it was the late 80s. And early 90s, and I was betting, and same thing, sort of like, that's why I know these stories. Like, so I'm betting, and I'm betting like 200 a game, and you know what I mean? I was just betting. I was a sports fan, but I was betting, but I wasn't in deep type stuff, okay? Next thing you know, I don't know anyone there. Everyone I knew was a musician, and they didn't really bet and stuff, so I had two different lives. I met this security guard in a hotel bar. He was a security guard. He could tell I was betting on basketball at the bar. We started talking ball. Next thing you know, I'm at his house. Next thing I know, he hooks me up with an Asian cartel syndicate out of a bowling alley. You know, I go from being this little chump. Next thing I know, I got like, "Oh yeah, by the way, we don't pay us. They'll chop your finger off." We're serious, right? Like, it was like, whoa, like it escalated fast in LA. I'm like, oh my God, this escalated fast. So I start meeting different people. Next thing I know, I'm with these dudes, their parents like are studio execs and big time movie execs and stuff. I'm sitting there and I'm watching them bet like $50K a game. Just like we talked about, Drew. I'm thinking, wow, all right, I'll put 2,000. I'm not going to put 25, but I'll put 2,000. It's like, dude, you should be betting 200. Right? You're betting 2,000 now a game. Mm-hmm. It escalates fast, right? And I could see this with Otani's guy. You're in LA, you're hanging around professional athletes and rich people all the time, and next thing you know, you don't realize you're not rich. You know what I mean? You know, they're rich. You're not rich, right? They are. Yeah. They can afford to lose. You can't. And this is what happens now. But did you bet the Masters at all today, Drew? I get this. I took Scotty Scheffler to be the first round leader today. Just a little at the last second. I saw it was 11-1. One shot off first round leader today. DeChambeau was the leader.
Oh, man. No, I thought about Scheffler. I remember you talking about him, Gabe. I didn't get down on it, though, buddy. I mean, the Masters is one of those things I just love watching it. I mean, the beauty of the golf course, everything like that. But, no, for what I've just been diving deep into MLB, Gabe, and getting after this UFC 300 card as well. So, unfortunately,
good.
I missed the links.
All right, good. I'll get some picks for you for the fights, but let me ask you this, Drew, because I call it my market watch, looking at baseball. And so let's look so far here. The most profitable teams in the game so far, betting $100 units. The New York Yankees, Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yep.
Pirates I thought were going to be good this year. I don't know how the Guardians do it every year, Drew. Every year I'm like, the Guardians are going to be mediocre. They suck, and they just win games, this team. They're the third most profitable team in baseball. The Milwaukee Brewers, who people left for dead, I know it's early, and the Kansas City Royals. We're just talking as far as units are concerned. The teams that have cost the bettors the most money, in this order, the Marlins. You're down like 8 units already if you bet on the Marlins every game. The White Sox are burning money. The Astros have been burning money. The Rockies have been burning money, and the Giants have been burning money so far, Drew.
How about that? One, I got to tip my cap to you. I love this exercise, Gabe. And something I've learned, particularly in the sport of baseball, this is something you want to pay attention to. That top 5 list, they're not on my board to fade. And that bottom 5 list, they're not on my board to bet on, at least for like the next week or so, unless something changes and the bottom 5 gets hot, something like that. But it's one of those things in life. As a sports bettor, whether you're invested in the stock market, you don't want to catch a falling knife. You bring up the Marlins. I'm a Marlins fan at heart, guys, but I haven't bet them at all this year. Coming in with that starting pitching staff, yes, when healthy, you could make the argument they're possibly the best in all of Major League Baseball. But when Sandy is on the IL, you got Yuri Perez as well. I mean, they're just not the same team, and they can't score. The Colorado Rockies, I mean, in that division, they're going to have a tough road here. And playing in that ballpark, you might think they might get something going, with that home field advantage. They just haven't been able to do it for years now. On the plus side of things, one team I'm a little bit wary of. What about this Cleveland Guardians team? You brought it up. How do they do it year after year? I would say pitching is a big part of that. I don't know, man. I'm not really.
And now they don't have
them.
Bieber.
Yeah. I could see that falling off a little bit. The Yankees, though, man, watch them play. They just actually played the Marlins. They actually lost, 2 nights ago as pretty big favorites. But one thing I've noticed with this lineup, Gabe, Juan Soto, a big part of it, they are taking pitches. It's almost like the Oakland Athletics, in the Moneyball times where, man, that starting pitcher is out of there in like the 4th or 5th inning. And they're getting good pitching. They're getting really good hitting. They're going through the lineup a bunch of times. If they continue this throughout the summer, the Bronx Bombers are somebody that, they might, go for the World Series. Who knows what the ceiling is with them. If they keep taking pitches like this and hitting like they are, as it warms up in Yankee Stadium, they're going to be scoring some runs. And the Royals, this is a whole new look Royals team. So you can't compare them to last year. They were hot garbage last year. This year, Royals are going to be making some money.
I like what the Royals did in the offseason. You're right about the Yankees. I know it's big city stuff that not everybody would like, but we haven't had a Dodger-Yankee World Series since 1981, which would be pretty epic. Yeah, just sort of it was, baseball would love that. I wanted to ask you, I find interesting about this sort of the market stuff. So listen, Drew, the last couple of years, specifically last year, they got really good, but the Baltimore Orioles were such big money makers, right? It was like, man, you bet on the Orioles, they're making all this money. No, not anymore. Look, a good example. The Orioles are 7-4. You're only up $116 on the season, right? Now they're favorites, right? You know what I'm saying? Now they're favorites, right? And something I've caught on to here is the Oakland Athletics, because of all the negativity around them, and I'm not saying they're a good baseball team, but they're 5-8, Drew, okay? The number that you're getting with them, like, you know what I mean? Like you're dead even if you bet every A's game right now. You're minus $6. So my whole point is you think, I'm going to fade the A's every day. It won't work, right? The A's are winning enough. Like if the A's could just start winning a little bit more, you could actually start to make some money on them. Look, the Dodgers are 10-5. You're only up $67 on the Dodgers. You got to play run line with the Dodgers, but let's look at Friday's card here. And the Dodgers really are as good as advertised. They played in bad weather in Chicago and Minnesota. Once they get back to the coast and stuff, these guys are going to start rolling. They got San Diego rolling in here. Yamamoto's on the hill here against King. Dodgers are minus 200 favorites, Drew, on the overnight number right now.
Yeah, I mean, Dodgers are tough to go against, but laying that huge price, you kind of got into it. I think it's a little bit of I don't know. It's just really expensive to be getting in there on the Dodgers. And something about betting the Dodgers on the run line, you really want to be paying attention to when they're playing at home and away, because this is another trend that's kind of, surfacing at this point in the season, Gabe, that I wanted to bring up. It's almost like the exercise you were doing. Home teams on the run line are 72-116. That's 38% against the spread. This is something I've noticed over the last couple of years, Gabe. That minus 1.5 with the home team, I don't think enough people realize if you're just getting into sports betting, it's 3 less outs. You only get 24 outs. And, the defensive kind of, what do they call it? Like when somebody steals and it's a defensive, like, it doesn't matter to the defense. Well, it matters to your run. If you're up 3-1 and that run scores in the 9th, you lose the bet. So I really only bet the run line on the away teams. And sure enough, away teams are 116 and 72, 62% on the run line. So that's something to keep in mind. I mean, betting the Dodgers, yes, I would go on the run line, but I'm not doing it when they're the home team, Gabe.
I agree with your analysis, but the Dodgers are kind of immune to it. I've looked at the numbers. This year it's too early to, a small sample size, but it's the same. Like they're so powerful that there isn't a difference for them, right?
Okay, if they're
like the way
enough,
like the way the Dodgers won't cover a run line if they win is if they blow, like, I'm sure you've seen it a couple of times. They're better at not doing it. But over the last couple of years, it's been a nightmare for run line bettors of the Dodgers. Like, Dodgers will be winning like 5-1 in the seventh inning, and they'll hang on to win 5-4. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'll give up a run here, a run there. Next thing you know, you're like, oh, damn, they didn't, we didn't get the run line with them. But does anything catch your eye tomorrow with these new series starting?
I got down on one game on the overnights, and actually it's a pitching matchup that I had on today's slate, and it got postponed. So it's the same matchup. Actually, we got the same number. It's the first game up, happy hour special, 6:40 Eastern. The Twins and the Tigers, Pablo Lopez and Skubal going for the Tigers. They were minus 120. The market agreeing with me, pushing it up to about $1.25 now. Detroit as the home favorite in the Motor City. The thing I like about this, Gabe, there's kind of a under-the-radar trend with Pablo Lopez, Venezuelan-born, longtime South Florida resident, played for the Marlins. What I'm getting at is he's played in a lot of good weather situations early in the season since he's been traded to the Minnesota Twins. Something I've noticed here, he's really struggled in cold weather. I think there's something to this, whether it be the Miami Hurricanes playing an ACC game like up north, something of that nature. It's just not the same team that comes out. We're getting that with Pablo Lopez. I would fade him. It looks to be 50 degrees, some more elements in the weather tomorrow in Detroit. If the game is played, it's one that I really like. I like Detroit at home, minus the 125.
Something I don't hear a lot of people talk about, Drew. What's your take on this? Do you like to bet this? Series bets, right? Will a team win the series? And not a lot of people bet it. I've done it in the past. I like to do it. The problem is, like I'm looking right now, they don't have series prices posted yet right now, right? So they will tomorrow. But a good, so for people tuning in, if it's a 3-game series, who's going to win the series? Point blank, right? And there'll be odds for this, even in the regular season. It's not a bad way to approach things, especially with a team like the Dodgers, who are big favorites.
Absolutely, Gabe. I'm a big fan of it. The problem is the shelf life. I mean, they don't give you a lot of time. I think part of the reason is because it's homework for the odds makers. You got to go over all 3 starting pitchers. How is the bullpens coming in? Are they ready at the start of the series? Things of that nature all go into the series price. But absolutely, if you could put enough of those angles in your pocket, I'm a big fan of series prices, and particularly on the underdog, because man, some of those series prices get real high. You could get plus 200. You win 2 of those first 3. And last thing here, Gabe, on it, depends on the sports book, but most sports books, if it is a 4-game series, guys, they only count the first 3 games. So keep that in mind. That last game, if you think you're getting 4, you're actually only getting 3. So usually handicap it that way, although read the rules at each sports book.
Yeah, you're right about that. And/or some books won't do the 4-game. They'll only do the 3 games. Right? They just won't list the 4-game series. We'll wrap up with Drew on the other side.
Victor Hovland right now can probably hit it right where he's looking on the range. But the problem is when you get out to a golf course, especially like Augusta National, it's a big, big picture. You can see every shot in the world, but the targets are really, really small.
I feel like whoever we pick is going to win. Like, I feel like we have the power to choose the winner of this tournament.
I know. I'm surprised more guys haven't reached out.
And they might, and they probably will.
Only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Jason Tatum has games where he has stinkers. He shoots a 4 for 16. Jaylen Brown in the playoffs gets exposed because he can't go left. Porzingis gets old. Sometimes Drew Holiday's not consistent. Al Horford father time to catch up. That being said, I still think they're going to the NBA Finals and winning it. And I'm a Knicks fan. I hate the Celtics with all of my might.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Memphis owns it. They beat them 5 straight times. And Memphis is awful. So what does that say about the Bucks? They're the most overrated team in the NBA, hands down.
Michigan and Boston College, there's going to be goals scored in this game. But, with that being stated, the total's up to 7.5 right now. I got to go under 7.5 here, Scott.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from 3 on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not 1, but 2 coaches fired systems in place.
SportsRage late
sort
night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Well, Drew, it's the countdown to the postseason. Your Florida Panthers are in the mix once again, so it'll be a cat scratch fever starting next week with the NHL playoffs. The United Football League going into week 3. How's the United Football League been treating you?
I haven't been getting down on it as much, unfortunately, Gabe. I missed out on that first weekend, and I feel like I'm behind, man. But it's one of those things I'm kicking myself about. I know you had a good read on a couple teams, man, so hopefully you've been pocketing some money.
Yeah, we're off to a nice start. We're like 9-4. We had a bunch of pushes last week, so throw off my record and stuff. It was like 3, pushes, but no, we're in a groove here, and the quality of play has been very good in the United Football League. Time to catch, not too late, Drew. So it's only week 3 right now, and I guess it was the basketball and everything, right? So now at least they don't have as much competition this weekend, at least.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised they didn't wait until after March Madness. But, yeah, it is what it is. And you brought up a good point last time I was on with you in terms of this is like the second, third, maybe even fourth year of kind of these leagues anyway. So the quarterbacks and the system, they get to know it a little bit more. Early in the season, I used to just kind of blindly hammer away on the unders. I don't know if that's really the right take in this league, but that's something that I noticed from a total standpoint. But, Gabe, I do got one for you on the UFC, man, that I really like.
Oh, yeah, bring it on.
All right, man. The champion has a name, and his name is Charles Oliveira. Plus 185, my man, winning 12 of his last 13 fights. He's won every fight since 2017, not in Abu Dhabi. And he leads the UFC in bonuses, in submissions. I mean, this guy, when you watch him fight, I think he can win standing up. I think he can take him down, submit him. I don't know what he's doing catching plus 190, Gabe.
He's always underestimated, too. People always say the same thing. Oh, he's so good, but he's going to be overmatched this time. And he always starts off fights by getting beat up, and then he ends up winning in the end. He's a hard guy to get in front of. I know. I like Pereira against Hill. I think Pereira is going to beat Hill.
Heavy hands.
Thanks, Drew.
Thanks, Gabe.